welcome to our next episode in our new Spider Summer series. My name is Marianne Packer, and I am the intern in the Office of New Student Programs here at the University of Richmond. I'm a recent graduate, so I have some experience being a student as well if you have any questions about that. And I'll pass it off to Andrea now so she can introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrea Vest, and I'm the Associate Director in the Academic Advising Resource Center. I have the pleasure of working with wonderful people like Marianne, who is also one of our peer advisors this summer. I work with the summer advisors, and my job is to help you better understand what pre-registration and self-registration look like this summer.
Alrighty, and so before we get started with our content for today, I just wanted to do a quick housekeeping. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box that has a little question mark in it. Please feel free to put some questions in the chat throughout the presentation. I might go in and answer a few of them, and then we'll recap them at the end. Or you can hold on to your questions, and we will have a time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, Andrea, if you'd like to go ahead and start your presentation.
Thank you, Marianne. Okay, as I mentioned just a moment ago, my presentation today is all about summer registration, what you can expect, and some helpful resources to help you prepare for this time. Just a minute, there we go. Okay, so fall course registration is broken into two phases at Richmond. Phase one, we call pre-registration. And during this particular phase, the registrar is going to pre-register you for all of your fall classes. That will include one first-year seminar, which we will refer to as FYS 100 or FYS sometimes for short. That will also include 2 or 3 additional classes that interest you. And it will include a Wellness 100. This is an introduction to the University of Richmond Well 100 course. This is a 0 credit bearing course, but it is required for graduation. So we're going to make sure that that gets on your schedule for the fall. The second phase of registration we call self-registration. And this happens a little later in the summer, early August. This is a time when if after pre-registration you want to make changes to your fall schedule, you will have the ability to log into our registration system, which we call Banner Web, and you can make changes to your schedule before classes start on August 26th, I believe. From a timeline perspective, pre-registration runs from June 22. That was yesterday. Your form was available to you. Your preference selection form was available to you in your Spider portal. You will have access to that form until July 17th at 5 p.m. That's when the form is due. I've gotten a lot of questions over the past couple of days about how quickly you should get that form in. It does not matter when you complete it or submit it, so long as you get it to the registrar again by July 17th, 5 p.m. It is not a first come, first serve. Getting it done today does not put you at the top of the line. It is all going to be randomly run through our registration system, so it does not matter again when between now and July 17th you get your form done. We do recommend that you meet with your summer advisor to talk about course selection, maybe before you start on the form or before you submit it. I'll talk a little more about reasons why, but just a couple of helpful hints with regard to the preference form. The next date to keep in mind this summer is August 3rd. On the 3rd of August, you can log into Banner Web to view your schedule. We are not going to send them out to you. You have to go look for them. And then if you want to make any adjustments, the next week on August 10th, Banner Web will be available and open to you to make changes. We will show you how to do all of that, and I will share more in just a moment. So let's real quick spend some time talking about that pre-registration preference form. This is what it will look like when you log into your portal. Locate the form. It lives in the July section of your checklist because it's due in July. It's kind of where we decided to put it. Lots of good instructions appear at the top. I would absolutely recommend you read through those before you start. A couple of things to note if you're in an Endeavor community, those courses are auto-enrolled for you. You do not need to put them on your preference form. In fact, some of them you will not find on your preference form. Um, Other things I want to point out. In the top corner, you'll notice that your form is timed. You will have 45 minutes to complete the form. If that's not enough time, we recommend that you save your progress. That is the only way that you can actually go back into your form and continue working on it or make changes to it. And then at the bottom, I'll point out that your student information should populate with your student ID, your name, and your email address. Next on the form, under the instructions, are the drop-down boxes that you will be choosing your classes or selecting your preferences, rather. The top section, you can see here are the FYS 100, your first year seminars. Remember, that's a required course for the fall. We ask that you rank your favorites. You can read about each of the first year seminars at fys.richmond.edu. That's the first year website webpage. There is a hyperlink on the form that'll take you right there. I do recommend you take some time to read through them. Rank them according to your preference, 1 through 20. You may ask, why so many? First year seminars are small. They are limited to 16 people, and there are over 850 first year students coming to Richmond. So it may be that when your preference plan or your preference form is processed in our system, the registrar might be looking at a course that you put in spot 10, 11, 12, 15. It will all depend on what FYS 100 courses you've chosen. So please give us 20. If the registrar runs out of options, if you were to only give us 5 and they couldn't get you into an FYS 100 because of that, you will not have one pre-registered for you. And that is something you will have to do on your own during self-registration. And I'll tell you, your choices are going to be even more limited at that point. So I highly recommend that upfront, take the time, read through the first year seminar descriptions, and do select and rank 20 of them. Same thing for the next section. These are your non-FYS course preferences. These are other classes that you'd like to take. Here again, we want 20 of them. Start with courses that may be most interesting to you or most important for your intended major exploration, or perhaps you want to get a specific gen ed done. Rank your non-FYS course preferences just as you did your first year seminars in a thoughtful, meaningful way. Again, 20 is a lot, but the registrar needs that much to work with to make sure that they get you a full schedule. They will likely be choosing 2 or 3 classes from this list. Rest assured, you are not going to get 2 science courses. So if you're asking yourself, if I want to register for chemistry or biology, and perhaps chemistry is more important to me, so I'm going to put that one at the top. I'm going to put biology next, but I absolutely don't want both of them. Rest assured, the registrar is not going to duplicate types of classes. So you're not going to have a full schedule of math. You're not going to have a full schedule of English classes. They will be very cautious and conservative about which courses you end up with. they will find a balance for you. Okay. Course descriptions for anything not an FYS can be located in the university catalog, again, hyperlinked on the form, or if you'd like, you can go into BannerWeb and look at course descriptions in the Browse Classes option.
I'm just going to jump in here real quick and say that I linked the course catalog in the chat just now. I also linked the descriptions for our first year seminars, and you can find a link to recommended first classes if you're exploring different majors or minors.
Perfect. Thank you, Marianne. At the end of your form, you do need to electronically sign the form. You'll do that by clicking that yellow box. And then beneath the signature, you'll see the button to save your progress. This is what you want to do if you want to return to your form to continue working on it, or if you're pushing up against that 45-minute timeline, you want to save your progress before it times out. If it ends up timing out, you do have to start over. I will also say, once you submit it, the submit form button is your final step. Once you submit it, there is no going back to change anything on it, though you are welcome if you want to tweak anything or make any changes, you are welcome to resubmit a new form. The registrar will use your most recently submitted form to run through the computer for pre-registration. So let's talk real quick about some of those other classes, starting with our Web of Inquiry. This is our general education curriculum. There are 6 areas of inquiry. These are courses that you need to complete in order to graduate. You can see them listed here. There is a historical inquiry, literary and textual, a natural science, this comes with a lab, social analysis, symbolic reasoning, and visual and performing arts. In addition to those areas of inquiry, you are also required to complete 5 integrated focus areas, and these are more skills related than they are areas or a discipline rather. So the integrated focus areas include embodied communication, power, equity, identity, and culture, a quantitative data literacy, and 2 written communication courses. And then lastly, there are 3 engagements, one of them being your first year seminar. We do have a second language proficiency requirement, and we also have 3 wellness requirements. I mentioned taking Well 100 in the fall. We also have Well 101 to be completed at your convenience before the start of junior year, and Well 102, which you'll complete before you start sophomore year. And we'll explain all of this in more detail, definitely in Well 100, if not with your advisor over the summer or in August when you get to campus. One thing to note here, the gen eds are not intended to be completed in full during your first or even your second year. This really is a curriculum meant to be completed over the course of all 8 semesters. So do not feel like you need to get these done before you can start working on classes that might fulfill a major or a minor. In some instances, classes that you'll take for an area of inquiry might also fulfill something for your major or vice versa. So we can be strategic and thoughtful about the classes that you choose while you're at Richmond. The idea is to build an academic resume, if you will, so that you are collecting the skills and content that you would like to take out to after graduation. Sometimes we get the question, what is a first year seminar? I wanted to quickly touch base and share that the first year seminars are going to provide you with a hands-on introduction to academic inquiry. There are more than 40 topics that we offer each fall. They are taught by professors from every school at Richmond, so faculty from Arts and Sciences, the Business School, Jepson School of Leadership Studies, sometimes even from the law school. We've had faculty teach first year seminars. So topics are going to cover a very wide range of interests and most often passions of our faculty, things that they're also interested in. So it oftentimes lends itself to great discussion and learning opportunities. The idea behind the first year seminar really is just to provide you an opportunity for critical reading and thinking, establish a foundation for effective written and oral communication skills, information literacy, and library research skills, which you're going to need. You're only going to need to complete one first year seminar during your first year in the fall. There are no first year seminars offered in the spring. Your first year seminar is only going to fulfill the engagement portion of our Gen Ed. It will not fulfill any of the areas of inquiry or integrated focus areas. But you'll note in bullet 3 here that some FYS courses can meet major or minor requirements. And then again, there's that website if you want to look up course descriptions for this fall's seminar selections. Beyond the Gen Ed, beyond the web of inquiry, what other courses should you look at? Try to think of your time at Richmond in thirds. A third of what you do will be Gen Ed related, but the other 2/3 will be made up of courses for a major, exploratory courses that could also turn into a minor or two, or maybe a second major. Regardless, we want to stress that this is a time for you to explore and be flexible. Really be open to the possibility of finding new interests. If your fall schedule isn't exactly what you thought it would or should be, I want you to think of it as this opportunity to try something new, and you really never know what course or what faculty member might spark an interest in you or might make a connection for something in your future. Other things that I would like you to think about when we're talking about preference planning and filling out your form, if you have or expect any AP or IB credit to come to transfer to Richmond, please do not put those courses that would fulfill or be fulfilled by your AP credit on your preference plan. You're not going to get credit, for example, a qualifying microeconomics AP and Econ 101 at Richmond. You're only going to get one or the other. So if you know you've got credit for math or science or whatever the case may be, please talk to your summer advisor about it, but it is not recommended that you add that particular class to your preference form. When it comes to our second language, it's highly recommended that you either continue to work on your second language toward proficiency right away or complete it in your first year and a half. It's not something, if you don't intend to continue the language study, it's not something we want you to hang on to and save until the end. So does that mean you need to take a language placement exam? If you do, those are offered through the Global Studio. Globalstudio.richmond.edu is a good place to go. You're also welcome. They just did a webinar last week or the week before. I would recommend you watch that recording. Lots of good information was given there. And it's a great idea to take your language early because perhaps you do want to continue studying and want to add a minor in a particular language to another major, or whatever the case may be. If you're not sure where to begin, because I know there are a lot of great choices, We do recommend that you look at the recommended courses for first year students list. You can link to it from the New Spiders website, and it's on the registrar's website. And I think that's the same. It may not be the same one Marianne just put in. It's a spreadsheet actually that downloads. So check that out. It's a great way to kind of sort and filter classes that you might want to take. Other helpful resources that will guide your pre-registration planning. The New Spiders website is the first place I go, particularly the academic planning page. Check out the link for planning your first semester schedule, details on the second language proficiency link, and then recommended first courses. I put the summer webinar series here because there is a lot of great videos, people that we are going to meet, people that we've already met, all live on that page. I know the School of Arts and Sciences is going to follow me today at 4. I recommend you register for that webinar too if you haven't already, and ask some of those good questions about if I want to major in X, what do you recommend I take in the fall? Another good place to visit is the registrar's website. There you'll find the credit by exam policy, which will show you which AP and IB scores will be transferred in for 2026. They also have a great list of courses fulfilling gen ed requirements and the fall 26 first year course selection. That's the spreadsheet I mentioned just a minute ago. One note about the second bullet under the registrar's website, the course list fulfilling gen ed requirements. That's a complete list from our catalog, and not necessarily all of those courses will be offered in the fall, but you may find it helpful for planning in the future, knowing that certain departments offer upper level courses for gen eds that you might be thinking about or planning for in the future. So I like students to know that that lives on the registrar's website. Okay, so that brings us to self-registration. Again, course schedules will be released on August 3rd. If you'd like to make changes, you can do so beginning August 10th. And I'll add here that Banner Web will be open and available to you to make changes all the way through to the first week of classes. So you have time, though there will be a lot of movement. Um, I would recommend you log in on August 10th if you can. If not, know that it will still be available to you on the 11th and beyond. I'll put another plug in here for August 4th. I'll be back on the webinar series with the registrar to actually walk you through and demonstrate Banner Web and how to make changes, and how to search for classes, and we'll go into detail into Banner Web. So that's not something you need to know right now. Right now, your focus is pre-registration, meeting with your summer advisor, and filling out your preference form. Okay, Marianne, what good questions have come in?
Alrighty, thank you so much, Andrea, first of all. We appreciated all that information. To start, I'll do some of the questions that I answered, but just to verbalize them. So, first question we got was, is it normal that I haven't heard from my summer advisor yet? And I responded that it is normal and they should be reaching out within the next few weeks before that July 17th deadline. Is there anything you'd like to add?
For sure. I would say give your summer advisor until Monday, um, recognizing that our summer advisors are faculty and staff from across campus. And because this is summertime, they may be in and out of their office. But by Monday, if you haven't heard from them, I would ask that you email me at advising@richmond.edu, and I will track them down.
Perfect. And then we've had quite a few questions about AP credits.
Okay.
One of them is how do we know if our AP credits are approved prior to submitting the form to register for classes?
That's a good question. So we expect that the College Board will release AP scores around July 5th. So you should definitely know, right? Because you've got a College Board account. I would check there. Make sure that you have asked the College Board to send your scores to Richmond. Um, the registrar will upload those scores that qualify. And again, remember that credit by policy web page. We can go there in a minute if we get a resounding yes, please take me there. Um, but there's a table in that policy. You can see which scores qualify for which exams and how it translates to courses at Richmond. So I would say we really won't know anything until July 5th, but thereafter we'll have a pretty good idea.
Awesome, thank you. And then that follows up with a few other AP questions, such as can AP credits count for that area of inquiry or the gen ed? And then the other one, yes. So we had two questions surrounding that.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. In some cases, an AP score will fulfill a gen ed. They might also fill something required for a major or a minor. And again, that's all in the table.
Yes, and I put that link to that website in the chat, so you can go ahead and check there what the qualifying AP score is, and then from there, what general education requirement it might fulfill. And
Beautiful.
sometimes different scores fulfill different requirements. So if you get a 3 or a 5, that might be a different requirement
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, another good question we had was if an FYS only seats 16 students, do Endeavor classes also only seat 16 students?
Endeavor FYS, yes.
As
So
for
if you're
the
in,
other Endeavor classes, it might be more than 16.
right, right. So if you are in, say, the business and AI endeavor, your econ and your calc, those will not necessarily be 16 seats. But again, if you're in Endeavor, you don't have to worry about registering for those classes. We will put you into them.
Awesome. Another question here. If I'm choosing two classes to fulfill a single gen ed requirement, will the registrar take that into account or do I need to be careful about that?
Hmm. You might need to be careful, and I'll give you an example. And it is I'll say it's okay to duplicate gen eds. You're going to end up doing that. Um, Psychology 100 and Econ 101 both fulfill the same social analysis, and that's okay. The registrar is just going to plug one of them in to your grad tracker as your social analysis gen ed inquiry, but both will be counted toward graduation.
That makes
I hope
sense.
that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you. Here's another question. Do students ever get classes in their top 10 ranked, or should we expect that we'll get classes lower down on the ranking?
The answer is yes. Students get courses in their top 10. Maybe not all four in their top 10. You may end up with maybe an FYS from your top 10, one other class in your top 10, and then the rest from 11 through 20. It'll depend.
Alrighty. And then do first year students typically take one or two classes related to areas of inquiry or integrated focus areas? And
Hmm.
Andrea, I think you answered this a little bit by saying that our curriculum is designed so that you can take these general education requirements all throughout your college experience. And a lot of times they do overlap with some of your major and minor courses as well.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, no. I would say it is common for students to take two gen eds for the very reason that one of them might be exploratory, a history class. because they want to be a history major, but it also fulfills a history requirement. And there was a really good English class that fulfills the literary or the written communication. So yeah, that's reasonable for sure.
Thank you. Another question here that we can reiterate. Will there be any opportunity to change our schedules after this pre-registration period? And you talked a little bit about self-registration, but I'll let you just echo that one more time.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the time to change your schedule is August 10th during self-registration. Banner will be open and available to you to log in and make whatever changes you want. We will show you how to do that on August 4th at the self-registration webinar. We would highly recommend if you are going to make changes, please do come to that webinar or watch the recording afterward because what you don't want to do is accidentally drop classes that you did want to keep because once they're gone, they are not always easy to get back. They go back into the system, into the general population or the I don't know what you would call it, back into the catalog, and
Mhm.
somebody could come in behind you and take that seat.
Yes, that does happen. Personal experience here. Alrighty. And then regarding self-registration, when this opens, will students be able to see in advance which classes have seats available?
Oh, yes, we'll show you what that looks like in Banner.
Mhm. And here's another good question about the pre-registration and rankings. When we rank our 20 courses, do we rank different sections of the same general class? I have the
Mm,
same question for FYS rankings. I see two sections. Does that count as two separate as part of the 20 or no?
perfect. Yes. Um, so I'll start with the FYS. The different sections of the same class can all go on in your ranking and on your form. You will notice that the days and times are listed for each of the FYS courses. So if there's a course that you want to take and it's offered multiple times, absolutely rank your favorite time at the top of that list and put the rest behind it. That will increase your chances in getting that class. For the non-FYS courses, you do not need and cannot really rank individual sections of courses that are offered multiple times, outside of maybe the special topics like the biology 199s, and there are some history 199s, I believe, that have the same number, same course number, but different titles, different topics. Those you can put multiple versions in a row in your preference plan. But say, for example, calculus, math 211, if that's a class you want to take, you just want to put math 211 on your preference form wherever you decide to rank it in priority. And the registrar will make sure that you get a calculus class that fits with everything else that you have chosen. So it won't conflict with your FYS or the other classes that you end up being pre-registered for.
Awesome, thank you. And I
Mhm.
would like to echo for the Bio 199s, they do have different topics. Those are different classes, even though they might have the same code taught by different professors. And if you're a student who wants to major in biology or is thinking about the sciences, I would recommend ranking almost all of those classes that you might be interested in because that's a great foundational class for the sciences. All righty. We still have quite a few questions here, Andrea. Are we doing good?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Awesome. So, next question here is, do we need to complete the self-registration preference form before meeting with our advisor, our summer advisor?
No, you do not. I would recommend you hold off until you meet with your summer advisor. You can get it started, you can open it, you can put a couple of classes in it and just save your progress. Don't submit it. But it might be something that you want to work through with your summer advisor. Or your summer advisor might have some insight or some advice that maybe you didn't think about. And while you're certainly welcome to complete it and submit it before you meet, as I mentioned earlier, once you submit it, you cannot edit it. You have to start over. Um, so I'll throw that out there. It's up to you. My recommendation is to wait,
Mhm.
but your call.
Awesome. And then we have a student asking if it's normal that they haven't heard from their peer advisor yet, but they have heard from their summer advisor.
That is unusual. Um, I would make sure that you are checking your Richmond email account. And if if you are, um, and you don't have anything from your peer advisor, I would ask that you email me at advising@richmond.edu so that I can look into it for you. You
Thank
should
you.
have, at this point, two messages from your peer advisor.
Great. And then another question is, can we start registering for classes?
You can start filling out your pre-registration preference form.
Alrighty. Another good question here. Is there a way to see what time certain courses are taught? For instance, with regard to my specific circumstance, I have a daily obligation around 3 to 5, and I want to make sure I'm not requesting courses that are taught during that window.
That's good. If you are a student athlete or a Bonner Scholar or an Oliver Hill Scholar, we know about your restrictions and practice times and meeting times, and the registrar will not put you in a class that conflicts with any of those times as they were shared by the scholar's office and your coach. Um, the the only way, um, one way you can look at the non-FYS class times is to go into Banner Web and do a browse classes for fall 2026, and you can see them all, but like I mentioned earlier, for those classes that have multiple sections, Anthropology 101, for example, you won't be able to tell the registrar, I can't have a class from 3 to 5. If you end up with a conflict and you're not one of the aforementioned student populations, that would be something that you would want to change during self-registration. That's an adjustment that you will have to make during that time.
Thank you. Another question kind of falls under that AP category. Does IB fulfill the same requirements as APs for gen eds and areas of inquiry? And again, I put that link in the description, and it's also linked to our website for the registrar's office. So you can actually see, depending on the score that you got on that IB exam, what area of inquiry or gen ed general education requirement or just general elective that course might fulfill. Sometimes it's the same as AP classes and sometimes it's not. So it really just depends on the exam and what that score was.
Yeah, you have to scroll a little bit. AP's at the top, and then IB falls right beneath it. Got its own separate table.
Awesome. And then what is the typical course load for an incoming freshman? Four,
That's a really
five,
good
six
question.
classes?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably going to be more like 3 or 4 classes plus your Well 100. So most of our courses are 1 unit apiece. There are some language courses, however, that are 2 units. So if that ends up on your schedule, one of the 2 unit intensive language courses, you will likely have 3 classes plus Well 100. You'll have your FYS, that's 1 unit. You'll have your 2 unit language course. You'll have one other 1 unit course and your Well 100. If you don't end up in a 2 unit language course, You will have four classes at 1 unit apiece, plus your Well 100. And while I'm talking about Well 100 now, I did forget to mention you are not adding that to your preference form. The registrar will auto enroll you into a Well 100 section after they run your schedule through and pre-register you for all of your classes. That Well 100 is going to go in at the end. We will take care of that for you. You do not need to put it on your preference form.
Awesome. And then, sorry about that. I have two questions talking about timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
So, what is the timeline for registration if you have an accommodation? And also, if you know that you have priority registration accommodation, how does that affect the pre registration process?
Your forms are still due July 17th at 5 p.m. The registrar will process students with priority registration first, and then they will process the rest of the student population. So this one time, this is how registration will look. This is the only time we will use a preference form like this. This is the only time the registrar is going to do the work for you. Going forward, students with priority registration will register the day before their peers.
Thank you. Alrighty. Someone had asked if this video is going to be uploaded to YouTube. It will be uploaded to YouTube and it should be uploaded by the end of this week. And in the meantime, you can check out our other webinars that also answer lots of common questions about second language proficiency and other topics as it relates to coursework.
Yeah, there's some really good ones coming up. I mentioned Arts and Sciences is today, the Business School and Jepson are next week. So if you've got course questions, what should I take? What do you recommend? There will be some experts online here in the next week.
Thank you, Andrea. So we will need to be wrapping up here soon. We still have a few questions in the queue, so I'm going to go through and ask some of them. And for those of you who maybe ask some specific questions to your circumstances, if you would be okay sending that question as an email to advising@richmond.edu, we can help you in a more personalized way after the webinar. So, one question is, should I put multiple science classes in my pre registration since I don't know which one I'll get into if someone is intending to be a STEM or science major?
Yes, the answer is absolutely. I would put any and all science classes you're interested in with the understanding that the registrar is not going to give you more than one.
Awesome. And then I have had a few questions here asking how will we know if we're chosen to have two or three classes added to our schedule?
That will depend on whether or not you put a 2 unit language course on your preference form and whether or not there is room for you in that class when the system processes your form. Um, you will absolutely have 4 units at the end of pre-registration. You will have 4 units if you complete the form properly, 4 units plus Well 100.
Alrighty. And then I like this last question that just came in. It says, as a takeaway, what three things should we be doing right now to stay on track? And I think that's a great last question for today.
Wow. Okay. Takeaway 3 things to stay on track. Make an appointment with your summer advisor. Remember, we're going to give them until Monday to reach out. And if you don't hear from your summer advisor by Monday, you're going to email advising@richmond.edu. But that is an important appointment to make and keep to talk about your academic goals and how to plan for them in the fall. The next thing I would say that you should be doing is keeping up on your checklist. Make sure that you are getting all the other things done too. Housing, your health forms, Those are all important things. Make sure your checklist is as up to date or you have a plan for completing the things in your checklist. And then lastly, I would say watch some of the summer webinars that maybe you missed and take a look through the upcoming schedule. Register for some of the upcoming webinars. Again, you're going to have an opportunity to speak with some deans and some students in some cases. So put some questions together for them, and I would tune into the webinars. Marianne, would you add anything?
No, Andrea, that sounds great. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now as well with some resources for students as we wrap up today. So we're talking a lot about our new Spider Summer series in these webinars. So you can find the QR code on this screen that you can go to register for those upcoming sessions. And then you could go to our new Spider YouTube channel to view all of our previous webinars for some content that you may have missed. And again, this webinar and the rest of them will be uploaded shortly by the end of the week. And then also, please feel free to check out our new Spider orientation website. Here we have the orientation schedule, so you'll know what to expect in August. And we also have links to all of the resources that we've been discussing today, specific to academic advising. And then finally, you can follow us on Instagram to stay up to date with the things that we're posting. We have some reminders that we put on there so you can stay on track, as one of our people put in the chat here, to make sure that you're right on time with everything that will be due coming up shortly. So, a huge thank you to Andrea Vest for joining us today and guiding us through some academic advising. Andrea, any last things you'd like to say before we end off today?
No, just that super excited to meet you all. We can't wait for August.
It'll be great. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank
Bye.
you.